Okay, so rudely enough, I filmed this video and then halfway through I muted it so I can take a drink so that you guys wouldn't hear this. Anyway, half the video was muted, so I'm going to try and refilm it for y'all. So there is going to be a little bit of a continuation issue, I guess, but is it an issue? Do you care? No, you don't. You're here for the news. Good morrow, everybody. My name is Robin, also known as Sunny Side Up Gal, and you are my Sunny Side Up pal. Good morning, good morrow, and good day. Actually, not good. Not good morrow, not good morning, not a great day. Today's episode is going to be a little bit of a rough start. You may have already heard, but there is a child in the news. I heard about this on Friday. A little boy named Casper O'Brien was neglected to the point of severe obesity by his parents and passed away. So we are going to be chatting about that and talking about the childhood obesity rate in the United States. If children passing on is not something that you are comfortable hearing or listening about or watching about or learning about or talking about, if it's a tough topic for you, you may just want to skip to this portion of the video. This is going to be a shorter video. It is Sunday. I literally just woke up and I was just inspired to get an extra video in this week for you guys because me love you. But yes, I just rolled out of bed and I put crap on my face, but I did, this is bedhead. Anyway, so let's just jump right in. So I have the article from the New York Post. This picture is of Casper. I can't read the entire article. We'll just have to just skim through and then we can watch an Instagram video that kind of goes into it a little bit more. But it says here, hoarder parents accused of murder, terrible neglect of obese son who was 7 years old, who died weighing 255 pounds. You guys, I don't think a 7-year-old should weigh more than 100 pounds. 255 pounds is wild. How does this little 7-year-old even know how to move that around? My guess, it says terrible neglect. My guess is that he was either not walking and maybe just crawling. I'm not sure. We'll have to just skim through. So hoarder parents, obese boy, 255 pounds when he unalived from heart failure, having been charged. So the little boy died of heart failure. Parents are being charged with his murder for their extraordinary and terrible neglect, according to prosecutors. Damien O'Brien, 40, and his wife Jessica O'Brien, 41, are facing can I say that? I'm not even sure. And torture charges of the death of their 7-year-old son, Casper, who had never been to school and only ever visited a doctor once. So when I skimmed through, nobody knew who this kid was. I mean, I'm sure he had a social security number. I'm not saying that he was just born and then I'm sure he was born in a hospital. I'm not, but maybe, I mean, don't you have to do social security stuff to your, outside of the hospital? It's not like they hand your kid a social security number at the hospital. I don't know. Let me know if you know. But I wonder if he was even talking. I wonder. Never been to school. How does that happen? On the face of it, this is cruel and extreme suffering for this child caused by the neglect of the parents. County prosecutor, God, sorry, Casper, of the couple also have a 5-year-old daughter. So a little cutie, a little chunker. Police stated, and then also the reason why I'm showing this picture is this picture was, I mean, it's posted everywhere, but this is actually from the funeral home. It says right here, Sharp Funeral Homes. Sad. Police responded to a 911 call for a child in distress at the family's dilapidated home in Flint Township, Michigan. Casper was rushed to a local hospital where he died a short time later from dilated cardiomyopathy, a disease that leads to heart failure. So homie was suffering with this for a while. What are some symptoms of cardiomyopathy? This is from the Mayo Clinic. Dilated cardiomyopathy is a type of heart muscle disease that causes the heart chambers, the ventricles, to thin and stretch, growing larger. It typically starts in the heart's main pumping chamber, the left ventricle. Dilated cardiomyopathy makes it harder for the heart to pump. Let's see what symptoms are. Symptoms of Cardiomyopathy, such as fatigue and shortness of breath, can mimic other conditions. Oh, a person with dilated cardiomyopathy might not notice the symptoms at birth, but can become life-threatening, more common in men than women. I don't think that this is something that children have ever gotten, or, very, very rare. Okay, so symptoms are fatigue, shortness of breath during physical activity or while lying down, reduced ability to exercise, swelling, chain pain or discomfort, fast fluttering, pounding heart, and palpitations. Can you imagine that? A little 7-year-old with this is something that usually happens in probably older adults. I even still, maybe only even obese people. I don't know. Let's look. All right, causes of it. It may be difficult to determine the cause of dilated cardiomyopathy. However, many things can cause the left ventricle to dilate: infections, complications, diabetes, excessive iron in the heart rhythm problems, high blood pressure, obesity. This should be at the top, heart valve disease. Okay. Other possible causes: exposure to toxins, alcohol misuse, use of certain cancer medications, and use of illegal drugs. Poor baby. Poor baby. But anyway, when I was reading this article on Friday, I was crying. First of all, I haven't been on my Wellbutrin in like a month, so I'm a little bit more emotional anyway, but I was crying on a Friday. All right, Casper rushed to the local hospital where he died a short time later. Okay, 4 feet 2 inches and weighed 250 pounds when he died. 255 pounds. He's supposed to be between 50 and 73 pounds. Jeez Louise, you guys. Let's look up a BMI calculator. Is there a BMI calculator for kids? Child and teen BMI calculator. Let's calculate. So we got a boy, 7. I don't know how old he was. He is 4 foot 2 inches and a ridiculous 255 pounds. Geez, 71. Severe obesity. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. 71.7. I've never seen anybody with 71. I think the highest one I've ever calculated for anybody that I cover on here is like 50. 50, maybe 53? What do you guys think? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Sad. That is obesity, severe obesity. This child did not have a pediatrician. He was only taken to the doctor once. Damien, the dad, look at these people, you guys. Don't forget their faces. I hope that, I don't condone violence. I just hope that, prison justice is a real thing. If you know, you know. And I just hope, I'm not wishing, you know, unaliving of anybody, but I do hope that's maybe a black eye. Maybe a black eye. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe more, Maybe more. Look at these people. Okay? First of all, I look at the dad. This was what was making me cry. I look at the parents and I think this little boy probably never got hugged. He was probably not loved. Like, how do people like this get to have children? And I'm not like trying to be like Starship Troopers being like, we should have licenses for parents.
I want to have babies.
But sometimes it does feel like we should have licenses for parents. Like, you should go to school to be a parent. You have to go to school to drive a car. You got to sign something to even have internet, right? There's all this stuff that you have to read to do so much in our lives, but anybody can just have a baby. But I understand, like, it would be, we can't control, you can't control people and what they want to do with their bodies as far as like children and stuff like that, or not having children, right? This isn't China, as the old folks would say. But I look at these parents and I think about Casper and I go, I wish I could hug him. Like, I don't know, this is sad. I think, especially when it comes to like, and I've had some friends who have had hoarding parents. They're so in their own thoughts, they probably aren't even thinking about their kids. We've seen hoarders. There's something wrong. I'm looking at these people and I'm knowing there's something wrong in their heads. And like, just a little bit of education about birth control would have helped out. I don't know. It was an unnecessary death, unlawful, and way too fucking early. I hope this little girl, his sister, who's 5, is gets put into like a great home and is loved, you know? Okay, child abuse and schmorcher charges in Casper's death, cruel and extreme suffering. Yeah, I bet, dude. Like heart, it's basically heart failure. If you've never known anybody that has heart failure, or even like I had my roommate's dog had heart failure, and like homie was suffering. I was like, what are we waiting for? Like, that's mean, Robin. This is not a joke, but it is suffering. You can't breathe, you know, your heart, I mean, your heart, you need your heart. Your heart does so much. And when it doesn't work right, you are hurting. You can't breathe. You can't move. You can't do shit. None of these kids even existed in the eyes of the government. That's what I was thinking. Like, they probably didn't have a social security number, because I think when you have a kid, you don't just like go home. You know, you still have to like go to the social security office and get their numbers and all that jazz. And like, so, and you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't. You know, they need that for like school and shit too. CPS has never been out there. Nobody knew about these kids. They had not been to school. Ugh. How does this happen, you guys? How does this happen? Obviously, this is like Flint Township. What's the population of Flint Township? Okay, 30,000. 30,000. My town that I currently live in is smaller than that. My town has a population of 15,000, but I do live in like a metro sort of area of like a smaller city. Not a big city. It is the big city, but it's not the big city, you know? It's like a small medium. I don't think of what else this is other than extraordinary, terrible neglect. So again, they were hoarders. They had a bunch of shit in their house and they neglected their kid to the point where, you know what though? Like, I mean, he was eating, but I mean, people, I mean, I think it's getting to the point, like, I feel like it used to be a thing like you could see your kids being neglected if they're extremely skinny. But now I think because of the obesity rate in the United States, it isn't it when I see a chubby kid, I'm like, that's not good parenting. I don't know. I having a fat kid is not good parenting. You have no, you can't control this child with food, or you're absolutely feeding him like shit. And that counts as neglect. I wonder what his diet was. I wonder what his diet was. All right, so here is a video I was sent by Emily. Thank you so much. I love you. Shout out to Emily, my baby girl. But I was sent this, not this exact video. I was sent other videos from other subs. So if you sent me this, thank you so much. I was already on it, but thank you. Okay, so this is from TMZ. 2 parents from Flint Township, Michigan, have been charged with murder for allegedly neglecting their 7-year-old son, who prosecutors say was shockingly obese at the time of his death.
2 parents from Flint Township, Michigan, have been charged with murder for allegedly neglecting their 7-year-old son, who prosecutors say was shockingly obese at the time of his death. Damien and Jessica O'Brien have been charged with second-degree murder, child abuse, and torture after their son Casper died weighing 255 pounds, according to the New York Post. Casper was 7 years old and 4 feet 2 inches. The CDC says a healthy weight for a child this age and height would be around 50 to 73 pounds. Cops say they responded to a call on November 4th, 2025 for a child in distress. Casper was then rushed to the hospital where he passed away from cardiomyopathy, with the contributing cause being obesity. The O'Briens, who also have a 5-year-old daughter...
Okay, look at this man. I know that you can't judge someone's character by the way that they look, but I see evil. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.
Allegedly never enrolled Casper in school, and Genesee County prosecutor David Layton said these children didn't exist in the eyes of the government.
Like, how does that happen? How does that happen? I know how it happens. Shitty parents, that's how. I mean, they're both clearly obese.
Both Damien and Jessica are set to appear in court on July 2nd.
Okay, I'm going to follow. Hopefully they televise the hearing or something. Hopefully there's an update that we can also follow along with. I want to see the reaction to how they to hearing about their son dying. I want to see if there's any kind of emotional attachment to this child. I also read on here that they had taken their dog to the vet a couple of times. So like they were able to take their dog to the vet, but then when it comes to their own child, like I mean, I treat my dogs like my children, but like their own child, you're gonna just let be sick. No child who is 7 years old should die of something that mostly adults get. Like I'm so lost. How could people be this fucking careless? Like I wonder where we went wrong. Not we, but like I wonder how could this have been prevented, right? What steps were missed? Somebody failed other than his parents, and somebody failed Casper. Somebody failed him. It's just it doesn't make sense. 7-year-olds shouldn't. You know what I think it is? I think one, we stopped doing PE in school. He didn't go to school. But I also think there are a lot of, I mean, this was a very, very huge case of neglect. However, the obesity rate in children has like quadrupled since the 90s, I believe. And I think a lot of it has to do, you guys, with the fact that like there are so many iPad kids. There are so many kids who are not playing outside. Kids should be running outside, getting sun, scraping their knees. Like there's no reason a 7-year-old or even a 6-year-old should be on Fortnite knowing how to build the Twin Towers and instead of going outside on their bikes. Like I understand it's not as safe as it used to be. Like when I'm a millennial, I'm 35 years old. When I was a kid, sun up to sundown, I was outside. I did not want to be out inside all the time. I was knocking on my friends' doors. Hi, can Christy come outside? Hi, can Amber come outside? You know what I mean? We were exploring. We were playing military man. I lived on a military base. We were playing army. We were getting on our bikes, exploring the island, well, the base, but like we were exploring, the base. We were getting up, going to the pool, swimming in the pool for 12 hours, then riding the bus home if we caught the bus in time, right? It's so different now, and I think that plays a huge role in why there are so many obese kids now. Nobody's playing outside. Play. We need to play. Do you guys remember? I don't know if you guys are Nickelodeon kids, but like, do you guys remember in Nickelodeon times, in our childhood, there was a time, I think it was called Play Outside Day or something like that. Like Nickelodeon did this thing where they would shut off all the cartoons, and it just said, "Go outside and have fun today," or something like that. And the entire day, that channel was like off. All it was just an orange screen or something, and it said, "Go outside, have fun today," or something like that. Like an entire day of play. I think that's what it's called, day of play, maybe play day. But yeah, nobody's playing outside anymore. Like in the comments below, what do you think? I mean, I know that most of you would probably agree with me that it is the fact that kids are not playing anymore. Nobody's going outside anymore. There's too many electronics that are like these kids are overstimulated and they're not doing anything except like be on their phones or be on their iPads or be on their video games, right? I love video games. I play video games almost every day, but I'm not a kid. I know what to eat to like to give myself the proper nutrition. Like a kid does not have that knowledge. The kid's going to eat whatever you put in front of them. So that means I really do want to know what Casper's diet was. I'm sure it was, junk food. I have a feeling, I know that it had to have been just junk food. Like this kid probably never ate a vegetable in his life. Okay, so we're going to read about the childhood obesity facts. This is from the CDC. This was posted in May of 2026. Childhood obesity facts. Approximately 1 in 5 US children and adolescents have obesity. What the fuck? That's crazy. What was it in the 90s? AI overview. The adolescent obesity rate has quadrupled over the last few decades, jumping from roughly 5% in the 1970s to over 21% today. That's banana bonkers. Obesity affects some groups more than others, including adolescents, Hispanic and non-Hispanic Black children, and children with families of lower incomes. Healthcare for obesity is expensive for patients and the healthcare system. So obesity affects some groups more than others, including adolescents, Hispanic and non-Hispanic Black children, and children in families with lower incomes. So I do believe I read the youngest child to get type 2 diabetes was a Hispanic child. Let's see here. So 3-year-old diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, doctor who treated possibly youngest child known to have developed obesity linked disease, type 2 diabetes, It is obesity linked, you guys. People are like, type 2 diabetes is genetic. Like, no. Like, it is 100%. 99.2% avoidable, especially in children. Type 2 diabetes was something that only adults get. They would call it adult onset diabetes. Like, there's no reason a kid should have type 2 diabetes. But a 3.5-year-old has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, possibly the youngest known to have developed the disease, which is linked to diet and obesity. Linked to diet and obesity, not just genetic. If it is genetic, it is genetically predisposed. But at this point, I feel like most people have the opportunity to get it. Like, it's not, there is no what's the word, discrimination with type 2 diabetes. We are in an epidemic, you guys. Like, it's insane. The girl from a Hispanic family was diagnosed in Houston, Texas by Dr. Michael Yaffe. Yaffe had said that she had been brought to this clinic because she was obese. She weighed, I believe, okay, so 5 stone 7 pounds. I think it's like 77 pounds, which is as much as a 10-year-old should weigh. Meaning that poor Casper weighed fucking 3 times as much as he should have. 3 or 4 times. I think I already said that though. Top 5% for height and body mass. Ugh. The child was suffering from excessive thirst and frequent urination, but her medical history was otherwise unremarkable. She was born at term at 7 pounds. So a normal sized baby. This isn't like a baby who was fat from birth, you know. Both of her parents were obese, but there was no family history of diabetes. I bet her parents were the first generation of their lineage to get obese, and then they have a child who's obese with diabetes. No reason a toddler should be 77 pounds unless you are feeding her fucking Coca-Cola and, like, you know, the portion sizes of an adult. Like, this is ridiculous. All right. Many U.S. children have obesity from 2007 to March 2020. The prevalence of obesity among U.S. children and adolescents was 20% practically. This means that approximately 14.7 million youths aged 2 to 19 have obesity. 20%, two out of 10 kids are obese, you guys. This is a problem. What can we do? What can we do? This is why I hate the fat acceptance community so bad, especially when it comes to kids, because they say things like obesity has nothing to do with your health, which it is linked to type 2 diabetes, which is type 2 diabetes snowballs into other crazy health risks. Like type 2 diabetes can be linked to heart disease, kidney failure, blindness, diabetic neuropathy, liver disease. Like, being obese, you can get fatty liver disease. And this shit is happening in kids, you guys. This shit is happening in kids. Like, I think the youngest kid to get fatty liver disease, let's see. Okay, youngest person to get non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, medical literature documents NAFLD in infants and children as young as 2 years old, you guys. 2 years old. Risk factors. Primary drivers in young children include obesity, insulin resistance, and poor dietary habits. See, it's about the fucking food, you guys. So when fat acceptance says that let fat kids be fat, I'm like, you are killing these kids. Like, you are. Like, you are. You are. Some mom is going to see a fat acceptance creator go, let fat kids be fat. And the mom's like, okay, I'm just gonna let my kid be fat. Like, no, baby. Your kid is, Casper was 7 years old and he died. When I see a fat child, I'm like, help him, please. They don't know. This kid is like a little dictator. They don't understand nutrition like I do.
She doesn't understand nutrition like I do.
They don't understand how much they're supposed to eat. They're just going to eat what you put in front of them. And if it's pancakes and maple syrup, it's going to make them want even more and eat even more often. And I'm just like, what kind of crazy world are we living in, you guys? Report every fat acceptance creator that says, let fat kids be fat. Report them. No, there should be, I want to see the 20% reduced down to like 2%. I want to see it be 0, but I mean, that's not realistic, but like, you guys, this is insane. For children, obesity is defined as All right, obesity affects some groups more than others. The prevalence of obesity increased with age. From 2017 to March 2020, obesity prevalence was 12% among U.S. children ages 2 to 5, 20% ages 6 to 11, and 22.2% among adolescents 12 to 19. So this makes sense, right? So listen, 12 to 7% among children 2 to 5. That's because their parents are feeding them, right? They're not going to be eating, they're not going to be feeding themselves. They don't have free will to go and like get shit out of the pantry, right? Bullshit mostly. But that makes sense. 20% among those 6 to 11. So that makes a little bit more sense. I feel like kids are more able to vocalize, "Mommy, I'm hungry. Mommy, I want this cereal. Mommy, let's get McDonald's for dinner." And then also they are able to feed themselves, right? When I learned how to cook for myself when I was 8 because my parents got a divorce and I was home alone quite often. So I was making ramen noodles by myself. Yeah, using the stove without a parent home. Not a great idea. Don't do that. That is also neglect. But like these kids can make themselves sandwiches and stuff, right? They can reach the freezer and get a popsicle, you know. And then ages 22% among adolescents 12 to 19. That's because when you're 12 to 19, you can cook for yourself, I believe. I mean, if your kid can't cook for himself at 12, that's kind of, in my opinion, that's weird. I don't know. Do you think that, what's the limit? When should kids start learning how to cook for themselves? I think 12 is a good enough, age. But yeah, 12 to 19, you're cooking, you're eating for yourself, you're picking what you want for lunch at school, etc., etc., etc. Race and ethnicity. Overall, obesity prevalence was highest in Hispanic children and non-Hispanic Black children, followed by non-Hispanic white and then Asian children. So 26% for Hispanic children, 24 to 25% Black children, and then white children 16.6% and Asians 9%. So I would say it is a cultural thing. When I was growing up, I was eating Asian food. I wasn't eating Hispanic food. But I also, and I don't want to generalize, but my guess is a lot, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But like, I'm guessing a lot of immigrants that come to the United States, Hispanic immigrants in particular, there maybe could be a language barrier. So there is a limited amount of nutrition education that they could get. Um, and maybe that's doing something. I know that so most of the Hispanics that come to the United States are from Mexico, and I know that Mexico has their own obesity issue. Let's look at Mexico's obesity rate. All right, nearly 75% of adults in Mexico are overweight or obese. 36% of adults are medically classified obese. Childhood adolescent obesity also remains high, hovering around 35%. 35%. That's crazy. That's more than the United States, right? And why is that? I think it has to do with, I don't know. I saw a thing a while back that Coca-Cola has this like huge problem with, or sorry, Mexico has this huge problem with Coca-Cola. That's generalizing as well, but like I do believe, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Why do you think that the obesity rate is higher in Mexico than it is in the United States? Sex. Among US girls, obesity prevalence was highest among Black girls, 30%, and among US boys, it was Hispanic boys, 29%. Again, a cultural thing. I don't want to, again, I don't want to generalize that maybe it's like, the food, but it always boils down to the food, and I'm not familiar with a lot of Black cultural food. But if you are Black, in the comments, let me know, like, why do you think that it's higher with Black girls? And if you're Hispanic, why do you think it's higher with Hispanic boys? Me think it's food. I have read in the comments that, Black people are more genetically prone to like, to put on weight faster than white folks, but I do think it is food related. Like, it's clearly food related. There's always options to like eat in the way that works best for your body. But again, it also boils down to education about nutrition, it's hard to get rid of, for me, let me give you an example. For me, it's hard for me to get rid of my cultural foods. I had to get rid of rice. That was really difficult for me because I've been eating rice since I was a baby, basically. I'm half Filipino. Rice is so of Asian culture that in the Philippines, some restaurants, they don't give you free refills on your sodas, but they'll give you free refills on rice. Like, what does that tell you? Like, it was really difficult for me to give up Filipino food. I will on occasion. If I go to my mommy's house, I'm having Filipino rice and all that jazz. But right now I'm locked in. I'm on a health journey, and I just can't have it. But that's because I did my research and I did I educated myself on nutrition and insulin resistance. Unfortunately, not I can't we can't say that especially when it comes to children. It's the parents' responsibility to offer that nutritional, the right nutrition for their kid, and maybe they're not getting the nutritional education. It's a problem. It's clearly a problem. Obesity prevalence increased as family income decreased. Obesity prevalence was 11% among U.S. children with family income more than 350% of the federal poverty level, 21% among children with family income of 130% to 350% of the poverty level, and 25.8% among children with an income of 130% or less of the federal poverty level. So that again tells me that there is a lack of education around nutrition. So this is well known that lower income also correlates with like lower education. And so maybe they're just feeding whatever, but also a lot of people who are in lower income believe that spending food on like Happy Meals or like fast food is a lot cheaper than just like buying a 5 pound bag of broccoli and a protein and feeding that to your kid, which is cheaper. Like it is cheaper. So like a 5 pound bag of broccoli can feed a family for a week, like, or can feed one child for a week. And a 5 pound bag at Walmart is what? Okay, 32 ounces. It's not necessarily 5 pounds, but like do the math. So 288 for 32 ounces. 32 ounces, you can give your kid what, a 2 ounce serving? That's a lot, That's a lot. And then chicken, like even if you wanted to give your kid, I don't condone giving your kid chicken nuggets, but like even if you wanted to give your kid chicken nuggets, that's way better. Like home cooked meals, even if they're like processed, even if one portion of it is processed and the rest is like whole foods, that's 1,000 times better than McDonald's, you guys. So chicken thighs, because I feel like chicken thighs are a little bit healthier. They have like good fats. What I say is good fats. Okay, this is still better than McDonald's. So a 6 pound tray of chicken thighs with the skin and bones. So that's gonna give you multiple. So the skin, I like the skin. It's a much tastier cut of chicken, in my opinion. And you can't really overcook. You can't really overcook unless you're burning it. You can't really overcook chicken thighs because they just stay moist. But you can cut the bones out and save the bones, and then you get soup on the weekends with the bones. Okay, if you don't know how to make bone broth soup, look it up. But basically, you put it in boiling water, and the soup renders the bones out or something like that. But I used to make bone broth all the time. It was so good. But anyway, 8 pounds. So it looks to me there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's say there's 10 of these. One of them can feed your kid plus a protein, and then rice is like 2 cents, basically a serving, almost 25 cents. How much could it be really? Okay, so 883 divided by 10, that's like 89 like 89. That's like 80, yeah, 89, 88 cents a thigh, right? Am I right? Am I reading that right? Yes, I am. So it is cheaper to just cook. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to like cook at home. I don't think it is, but I know that life is stressful and you don't really want to work 8 hours a day and come home and cook for your snotty nosed kids or whatever. But like, you have a responsibility.
You got a responsibility.
You have to feed these kids the right foods. Okay? You need to adjust, especially if you're seeing that your kid is putting on more weight than he should. Adjust. I've adjusted for my dog. My dog Duncan is a little chunkin', and all we had to do was reduce his dry food by a quarter of a cup, and then we just added it because it didn't look like a lot of food. We just started putting pumpkin in, and homie lost like 4 pounds. Okay. But yeah, it's not difficult. I just know that it is like an education thing and like a lack of physical activity with children. Okay, healthcare for obesity is expensive for patients in the U.S. and the healthcare system. In 2019 dollars, the estimated annual medical cost of obesity among U.S. children was 1.3 billion. Medical costs for children with obesity were $116 higher per person per year than for children with healthy weight. Medical costs for children with severe obesity were $310 higher per person per year than for children with healthy weight. So for real, when I was obeser, I went to the doctor more than I do now. I think now I go 2 to 3 times a year, and therefore my annual stuff and my biopsies. I haven't gone to the urgent care in quite some time, when I was obese, I was going to the urgent care or the emergency room for something often. And then I was seeing my PCP a little bit more often just because I was watching my A1C a little bit closer. But now I can just do my own, I order my own tests like every 6 months or every 3 months. And it's cheaper than going to the doctor. Because listen, go to your doctor if you have insurance. I have insurance, but like my doctor wanted me to come in, spend my $40 for my annual, well, actually my annual was free, but like she wanted me to come in for my free annual, then go get blood tests, and then come in to discuss my blood tests when like my blood tests they get sent to me in my chart, right? So I started telling her like, no, like you know what you're ordering for me every year, and if we want to order more, we can order more. But if you know that I'm gonna always get my A1C, my blood sugar, my nutrients or whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, my white blood cell count, yada, 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 yada. You know that you're going to order that for me every year. Order that before my annual. Then I can go to my annual. And then if we need anything more, we can go order more tests. And then I'll come back to discuss those tests. But like, I'm not going to, it just felt like a money grab. So I just order my own tests. And then if I need anything, I'll just go visit them. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the medical system is so flawed, and more than just the fact that like not everybody can afford medical health care, but even the ones who can, like I'm feeling very blessed. I'm not complaining that I have insurance and yada yada yada, but like it's still it still costs money, and you're still trying to steal my money, okay? And I'm not gonna have it, right? So if you guys, I'm not sponsored, but if you are like, I don't have insurance, I need this test, I use Jason Health, I think it's what's called, and I order my own tests, and then they send it to a LabCorp or to a Quest, and I get my blood test that way. And some of the blood tests are a little bit more pricey. You might save money by going to if you have insurance and you pay your doctor your what's it called, your copay. That might be a little bit cheaper if you ask them for that. But for me, it's $15, I think, to get like a full blood panel, and that's cheaper than going and spending $40 for one. I don't know. Oh, and then I go to my endo. So yeah, 2 to 3 times a year. So yeah. All right, you guys. So that is today's video. I know it was a little bit of a shorter one. Again, I did have to like re-record this portion because of me muting the mic. But anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Let's have a discussion. Let me know in the comments below what do you think our solution is for the obesity rate in children. The Casper dying is so unfortunate, and again, unfortunately, like I'm sure there are other cases out there where obese children have passed on due to the neglect of their parents. It's a shame, and people like that don't deserve to have children, and I hope that they rot in prison. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. We really need to we've got to come up with some solutions for the obesity rate in this country, not just for children, but for adults also. Like there is a problem. And to me, you guys, I said this in my other video, I said it multiple times in this one, it boils down to the food. We're eating too often, we're eating too much, and we are eating really shitty food. And it has to be changed. What can we do? I like, first of all, I do believe in bringing back like some kind of physical education in school. Unfortunately, Casper didn't get the chance to experience that because his parents were fucking pieces of fuck and didn't put him in school. But I know that the Obama administration had removed the presidential fitness test in 2012 due to like feelings. Let's look it up really quick. All right, so why did they get rid of the presidential fitness test? Okay, so Obama administration replaced the original presidential fitness test in 2012 to shift to the focus from elite athletic competition to overall long-term health. So I think that's when they started doing like better meals in school. But at the same time, I mean, do you guys remember they categorized pizza as a vegetable? I don't know. Was that the Obama administration? Me not know. Critics had long argued that the test promoted unhealthy body shaming and peer humiliation and favored naturally athletic children over measuring of individuals' persons' health and improvements. So there's a way, instead of just removing physical fitness, what they should have done was like, I mean, I remember being weighed in front of my classmates when I was in 6th grade, and I was one of the fattest kids in my class. Luckily, there was another fat kid, Apollo. If you're watching, you smell like dirty laundry, which that's rude. It was probably because of neglect. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But he did. But Apollo, if you're listening, you were fatter than me. Okay. um. But there needs to be some kind of physical fitness back in schools. I think that, again, Casper didn't have this opportunity, but like if you're responsible enough to take your kid to the doctor once a year for their annual checkup, and your doctor notices that your kid is starting to surpass the overweight category, something needs to be done. You guys, I'm definitely one of those people that's like hands off government, like do not touch my family unit, stop controlling. There's too much government control already. But I am one of those, like, I do see childhood obesity as a form of abuse. So if your child is getting to the point where they are abused and are obese, think, right? And I'm not attacking anybody in particular. Like, we don't know each other. I don't know you. I don't know your situation. I don't know your kid's situation. But I know I'm not alone when I think of an obese child and think that is child abuse. Just like when you see an obese dog, you're like, that dog's being abused. That's abuse. If you don't believe that, I'm sorry. We might have differing opinions. I'm sure the love is there for most children who are obese. Um, but it is abuse. Obese is abuse, okay, you guys? Um, as far as nutrition, report everybody who says fat kids should be just fat kids. There's no such thing. A fat child should not exist, you guys. 2% in the 70s, or was it 5%, to 20% in the United States now. What are we fucking doing? What are we doing? Not shouldn't be an option. Should not be an option. Okay? Education and nutrition. What can we do? Let's discuss in the topics. What are in the comments? What are some ideas to get nutritional advice to parents who don't know shit, right? Unfortunately, a lot of us who have kids in this community are feeding our kids well. It's because we know that we grew up as fat kids, and growing up as a fat kid makes being an adult and fat very difficult. And it's harder to lose weight as an adult than it is to lose weight as a kid. I guarantee you, if you cut if a fat kid cuts his portions like by like a quarter, he will be at a normal size, right? That's just guesstimation, but I don't know. You guys. I don't have kids, and I know that like it's one of those topics. It's like if you don't have kids, you can't really judge parents. But like, I mean, your kids are probably going to be like my president one day, or your kids probably will work for Congress one day. They might be my doctor one day. Like, wouldn't you want them to have a fighting chance? Wouldn't you want them to live a long life? I think as a human being, I want children to live longer than 7. Just another like nod to Casper. This was a severe case of neglect. When I think about it, I want to cry because I know that Casper felt alone. I did, because I felt alone a lot in my childhood, and I wonder if he was alone in his final moments. You know what I mean? It's sad. It is sad. It should have never happened. I don't know. But if you made it all the way to the end, leave your favorite healthy emoji in the comments below. If you are new here, please consider giving me a subscribe. Like the video if you haven't already liked it, and if it's giving you the option to hype it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Goodbye.
Do you remember when we met? Last day I knew you were my pet. I wanna tell you that I love